Too many parents nowadays are not raising their kids. You see, nowadays, a lot of parents, they just want to be friends with their kids. You'll have a lot of parents nowadays, they condone their kids' actions. In their eyes, their son, their daughter can't do nothing wrong. They condone whatever their kids do, regardless if it's right or wrong. You see, nowadays, it's like many parents, they just want to be their kids' friends. They don't care about disciplining them. They don't care about teaching them the right and the correct way. They don't care about none of that. It's just about whatever their kid does, they support them. And it's crazy to see that, the standards in society have dropped because at one point, a lot of parents, they used to really discipline their kids. If a kid got out of line, they would tell them what they're doing is not right. They would tell them, son, daughter, what you're doing is not right. You're going down the wrong path. They would tell them that they gotta fix their act. But nowadays, a lot of kids, they condone what their kids do. It's like a lot of them, they make their kids their idol gods. Whatever their son, daughter does, they support them. If their son's a drug dealer, they support them. If their daughter's a prostitute, they support them. It's like to them, their kids can't do nothing wrong in their eyes. And you see, parents who have this mentality, they raise their kids to think that life is going to always go their way. They raise their kids to be crybabies. They raise their kids to think that everybody has to bow down to them. And nowadays, that's why you see many kids nowadays out of hand. You see a lot of teenagers nowadays, even teenage people who become grown adults, they're out of hand. You know why? Because in their mind, they still remember that their mom and their dad support them. They think that everybody gotta cater to them. That's why nowadays everybody got this cater to me mentality. Everybody got this self-centered mentality. Because they think that life is all about them. They think that everything is all about them. And that's not the case. That's why nowadays you have kids, they have no problem walking in stores robbing people. They have no problem holding people at gunpoint. They have no problem breaking into people's houses. Even oftentimes with no mask on. You could easily see their face on camera. Police know what they look like. And I'm pretty sure their parents, they know that their kids is on the run from the police, a lot of them. But yet they still don't say nothing. Many of them, they still support their kids. Many of them, they still condone what their kids done. I've seen parents talk about their kids is a good baby. That their kid is good after they killed people, after they robbed people. I remember one time, I believe, in a news story in Florida in 2016, a guy broke into a woman's house and she ended up shooting the guy. And, the guy was a home invader. He broke into her house. He was doing a home invasion. His family members got on TV and said that, she didn't have to shoot him. She didn't have to do all of that. All he wanted was some food. All he wanted was some stuff. Why would you condone what the guy is doing? The guy could easily went and worked a job. He could went and start his own business if he need money. Why go in and rob people's hard stuff that they work hard for? Money tight nowadays. You can't just be robbing people and just doing people dirty. That's not right. Nowadays, these parents, they just allow their kids just wreak havoc on people, and they don't say nothing until their kid ends up in trouble, until the police ends up coming for their kid, until their kid's laying in the grave, a lot of them. Now all of a sudden they want to cry. Now all of a sudden they want to say that their kid is a good kid. When all of a sudden, all this time you had time to discipline your kid. May I tell you something? Kids don't just wake up one day just out of hand and wild like that. A lot of times it's because their parents never disciplined them. It's a revolving door that just keeps on going. It's like many people nowadays don't get it. If you don't raise your kid and you don't teach your kid manners and respect, someone's going to teach them. And when the way other people teach them may not be the best way. Because your kid might be disrespectful to you. You might allow him to disrespect other people. But someone's going to come along to where they're not going to tolerate that disrespect. And they're going to handle your kid however they choose to handle them. Not saying it's right. Not saying it's wrong. Depending on what the person does. Not saying it's correct. But we just got to go by. We just got to see that many people, they're not going to tolerate disrespect. A lot of people are not going to tolerate no rude kid. And you see, when a kid is wild and the parents don't want to discipline them, the parents are going to end up finding out the hard way. Because a lot of people nowadays don't have patience with all these young people that's running crazy. They don't have the patience with these young kids running around wild, cussing people out, fighting, breaking into people's stuff. A lot of people are getting tired. I believe I've seen numerous news stories in Philadelphia where multiple teen carjackers have been shot. And a lot of people may say, it's just a car, it ain't that serious. But you see, you parents, what's more serious is that you parents not discipline your kids. That's what you guys gotta understand. Not everybody's gonna tolerate your kid just robbing them like that. Even the Bible says you shall reap what you sow. You do evil unto others, that evil can be returned back to you. And how it gets returned back to you, you don't even know how it can happen. It can end up when you go in prison, or God forbid, you end up having bodily harm. But nevertheless, these parents nowadays, it's like the Bible is really manifesting. The Bible says in the last days, the love of many will wax cold. And you see, a lot of you parents, you just condone your kids' foolishness. You guys support wickedness. You guys know your kids are being evil towards people. A lot of you even know your kids are bullying people at school. And a lot of you guys just joke about it. You laugh about it. You even got kids nowadays to where they're dating as teenagers, and you parents condone that too. Like, what's wrong with you guys? You know your teenage is probably in fornication. You know your teenage daughter is probably in fornication. Your teenage son's in fornication. They hop in from relationship to relationship to relationship. You know more than likely your teenage son or your teenage daughter is having intercourse. And they still teenagers. They're not even adults yet. They're not even, you know what I'm saying? You know what your kids are doing, and they don't even say nothing. You just allow your kids to date. I heard kids talk about their parents allow them to date at 14. Whoever allow your kids to date at 14, you're a reckless parent. Because at 14, their mind should be focused on school. It should be focused on God. Their mind should be focused on their future and where they want to go in life. Their mind should not be focused on no boyfriend, girlfriend. Come on, man. All you parents, you know you went through heartbreak when you were in school, when you were a teenager. And yet you want your kid to go through the same thing? It's like, you guys don't want your kid to do better. You guys want your kid to end up in the same situation as you. You don't want your kid to end up being better in life. Sometimes you parents, you just condone too much nonsense. Talk about teenage dating. Oh, my daughter, my son, they old enough to date. 14, 15, 16, they old enough to date. Their mind to me to be focused on school and where God taking them. That's what they need to be focused on. Not no boyfriend, girlfriend nonsense. Your kids end up with all that trauma. They end up with all that hurt after a relationship ends. Because we all know, high school relationships, it's just emotions. 99.9% of relationships in high school are going to fail and end after high school. A lot of them don't even last 1 year. A lot of them don't even last even 6 months. And yet you guys condone this. You guys know when you're a boy, you guys know that you're a boy and you're a girl. Your son and your daughter, you know that they're probably in fornication. They sleep around with different people in the school. They have multiple boyfriends, multiple girlfriends. You know that your son and your daughter could easily catch a STD, HIV, AIDS. You know your teenage daughter could easily end up pregnant. You know your son could easily end up becoming a father at 16, at 15, at 17. And yet you don't say nothing. You just allow it to happen. Then when these kids, next thing you know, their lives get on a hold. A girl gets pregnant at 16, her whole life is on hold. She probably can't even go back to school. She probably can't go to college. She gotta spend the rest of her life taking care of that baby. And a lot of you women, you made that mistake of getting pregnant as a teenager. And yet instead you correcting your daughter, you're on her to go down the same path as you. A lot of you men, you know that a lot of these girls that your son is doing at school is not good. All you moms know, and you don't say nothing. You just allow them to go through that. You know you've been through that heartbreak when you were in high school, when you were a teenager, when you were a young adult. And yet instead of saying nothing, you just allow them to just go and continue. And you guys don't say nothing. You guys just sit there and just watch it happen. All you parents, a lot of you guys don't want your kids to become better than you. You guys want them to continue in the curses, and the generation curses. There's a generation curse of teenage pregnancy in your family. You got pregnant young as a woman. You got pregnant at 16. Your mother probably got pregnant when she was young, at 16, at 15, at 17. It's a curse that's happening along the family. And instead of you breaking it, you just allowing that curse to continue. So a lot of people talk about they want better and they want to be better in life. A lot of you guys don't want better. You want to continue in it. You want to continue in the curses. You want to continue stumbling. You want your kids to end up the same way as you. You don't want your kids to secret end up better, because sometimes you parents are jealous of your kids. Because you sometimes see your kid could become a star. So instead of correcting them, you just allow them to can do what they want. It's like crazy nowadays. People just let their teenagers do whatever they want, and nobody says nothing. And if you try to tell parents, oh, your son, your daughter, they're doing this is not right, some of these parents will get mad at you and say, hey, who are you to talk about my child? Ma'am, sir, your child is not perfect. They're not God. They can mess up. Your son, your daughter, not everything they do is going to be right in life. They got to be able to take correction. That's why a lot of these kids end up growing into adults. And when you try to correct them as adults, they don't want to hear it because they're so used to their mother and their father defending them, that when you try to tell them something, on job, at school, wherever, as a business partner, we try to tell them something, even a polite way, they take offense because they're used to everything being handed to them. They're used to everything going their way. They're used to people sucking up to them and just listening to whoever they want. You see, that's what's crazy nowadays. That's why a lot of young teenagers are turning to young adults who are entitled because their parents ain't tell them the truth. Their parents they didn't tell them that the world ain't gonna go their way. Their parents didn't tell them that the world not gonna cater to them and cater to everything that they want. But nevertheless, we need more real parents that's going to raise their kids, that's going to discipline their kids. We need more parents that's going to stand firm and say, son, daughter, you're wrong. If they do something that's wrong, let them know what you're doing is wrong. Don't just condone their action because they're the son of your daughter. Because I see, you keep condoning their action, they're gonna go out and do it to somebody else. And next thing you know, they might end up finding out the hard way. Be a smart parent. Be a good parent. Be a parent that actually cares about their kids. Be a parent, because when you discipline your kids, when you know what's wrong or right, when you let them know what is correct or what's wrong, then they will go up in life knowing how to treat people. Then they grow up in life knowing what's right and what's wrong, instead of doing whatever they want and finding out the hard way.